Anyway, I welcome us all to today's webinar session. Yeah, I'm quite excited. I also want to believe you're excited to be here. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Can you hear me? I just want to be sure I'm audible before I proceed. Is my mic working? Clear?
Yes, you're audible enough.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Am I audible? Mr. Jai, you're unmuted. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear
Loud
you.
enough.
You're audible enough.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much for coming. So, Mr. Jeremiah, do you mind reminding us of the title of the webinar? Okay, so since Mr. Jeremiah is off, anybody, why are we here? What's the title of the webinar? Next, people know the title. Hello. Me, I like to gist. So it seems like you are waiting for me to do all the talking. You don't want to talk. Talk now. Okay. I guess I'm the only one here.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Madam Oluwakemi. You have the answer to my question. Please proceed.
Yeah, I think so. The webinar is about how to build teams, the productivity.
Yes, I'm with you, Madam.
To enhance satisfaction. And like you put it, doing this like a professional. So
you said productivity. I didn't hear that.
How to build teams productivity, to boost their productivity and also satisfaction. Like a professional, what you should like the title, you said how to build teams to boost productivity and enhance team satisfaction like a pro.
Solid. Correct. Sorry. 50 seconds. Over. All right. Yeah. Thanks very much, Madam. Let's jump. There's so much of. Do you mind muting your mic? We're about starting now. Hello. Sorry, if you're not speaking, do you mind muting your mic? Okay. Okay. I'm about sharing my screen. All right. So we are set. Can you see my screen? Anybody? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can
There's
see.
still noise.
We can see it.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. J. Yes. Okay. So I believe we are really pumped for this. Let's jump right in. All right. So I welcome you once again to this webinar. we are discussing essentials of team building, understanding the team development process. And just like Madam Oluwakemi said earlier, in determining how successful or not you would be as a business person, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, or whatever. Sorry, please, let me quickly drop this. I have 3 different internet connections and they're all kind of fumbling. So I might have to be switching. So if at any point in time you can't hear me, you could just quickly, just inform me so I can switch to another one, because I don't know what's happening today. The connections are just fumbling. All right. So team building is an interesting area. As interesting as it is super wide. There are so many areas of team building. When I say so many areas, I mean so many areas. There are so many things involved when it comes to team building. A lot of psychologists, business people, they've devoted so much of research in the past few, hundreds of years into understanding what exactly makes some teams to be, of course, achieve so much of success, and some teams to be, lackadaisical. Some teams are high energy, they produce so much of results, and some of them are, very poor. They really don't get so much. Okay, so what's the difference between all of this? So much of research have been done in this area. So don't forget that we're here for barely 90 minutes. So, and out of which 30 minutes has gone already. So there's so much you can do now. So we'll just try to touch on a very small area with the hope that in the Kaizen spirit of continuous improvement, we would all keep improving in these areas. Let me start with this quote here saying, a key to achieving success is to assemble a strong and stable management team. A key to achieving success is to assemble a strong and stable management team. Okay, I almost forgot to introduce myself. Well, maybe because most names here are already familiar, like Mr. Dawood, Gafar Akiosho, that's my boss. 2 hands in the air. I greet you now. I can see so many familiar faces. Maybe that's why I felt Ahmad Adebakin. That's one of my bosses. I hope he's the one. Okay, so well, let me just briefly introduce myself. I'm an IT consultant. I'm also a project management coach. I'm so passionate about project management, leadership, and other soft skills like that. So I've been building myself in that line for years. I've also actively been running businesses and failing so much at them. And I have 1 or 2 things to share with you today. So I hope you'll be listening. So one of those things we also do have like 100% pass rate. We've been training from tons and tons of different companies all over the world, in different countries, in different companies. So that's about the PMP. But the PMP is not the only thing we do. It's just one of those things we do, and we do extremely well. So if you want to write the PMP, get across to us. Get across to us. Okay, so that's about introduction. So let's continue from where we stopped. So as a project manager, you need to wear a lot of hats. You need to wear a lot of hats. You need to possess a lot of skill sets. You will be involved in so many things. At a particular point in time, you might wear the hat of a procurement expert. At another point in time, you can wear the hat of a contract administrator. At another point in time, you wear the hat of a mentor. At another point in time, you wear the hat of a supervisor. At another point in time, so there are lots of hats you keep wearing and wearing and wearing as you manage the project. So what this means is that you need to possess a lot of competencies, a lot of interrelated, interdependent competencies. There's an analogy here. Just like being an engineer, Of course, you agree with me that to get a degree in engineering, it's not like one thing you're doing. You need a working knowledge of so many things. Either getting a degree or even practicing as an engineer. You'll be needing the knowledge from so many domains, from so many areas. An engineer on site now, who uses an aspect of knowledge and is oblivious of many aspects of knowledge, that would translate into a lot of possibly disastrous consequences for the person. So, like for example, as an engineer, you necessarily need to be sound in maths, because these are things you need. Apart from getting the degree in school, you also need these things to be able to function on the field. I've never met somebody who claims to be an engineer who is very weak in figures, in mathematics, who is very weak in analytical thinking, or being able to draw, being able to do things like that. These are essential skills. When you lack these things, it will affect your capacity to operate as an engineer. So just like a project manager too, a project manager needs to possess excellent analytical and organizational. So as part of resource management knowledge area, manage project team is a key process. What do we mean when we say resource management? In the last webinar, we talked about the 10 knowledge areas. Okay, so who here, let me know how much of detail I need to say. Who here was part of the last webinar? Yeah, quickly, just send a chat. Yeah, quickly, just send a chat. I was there. Let me see how many people. Hello, are we following? Just send a chat message, drop a chat message. I was there. The last 2 days seminar we had, that was last week. Okay, one person. Okay, 2 people. Who else? Okay, 3. It's more now. I can see some names here, like Mr. Dawood. Mr. Dawood was there. Fatai Yekin, I'm not sure. Okay. Mr. Jeremiah, of course. I know you were there. Okay, so you have just 5 people, or 4 self. Okay, 5. Michael Ajayi. Oh, interesting, you're there. Beautiful. Okay. So out of 16, only 5 said they were there. All right. Anyway, we have 10. We said we have integration management, we have scope management, we have schedule management, we have cost management, we have quality management, we have communications management, we have risk management, we have stakeholder management, we have procurement management, and then we have resource management. These 10 areas are the knowledge areas of project management. So what we'll be discussing today in this training is just a part of resource management. So there are processes under resource management. One of them is manage project team. So we're discussing a little about this process today. So what's the manage project team process? Let's talk about manage project team process here. So essentially there are 4 major things you are doing here. Track team performance, providing feedback, resolving issues, managing team changes. You are doing all of these things to optimize project performance. Okay, so why do we want to manage project team? Okay, 4 issues again. The key benefits of this process is, number 1, improving teamwork and team building. You want to boost productivity, you want to promote learning, you want to enhance teamwork satisfaction. You want to enhance teamwork satisfaction. So when we say team building, what exactly are we referring to? We're just brushing through all these basic concepts of teams and team management. The main concept behind project management is the human factor. For any whatever you are doing, you have people, you have systems. People, systems. The core of project management is being able to manage the human aspect of what you do. That's a lot calculation based and all of that, a lot of the success of your project is dependent on you being able to manage the human aspect of what you do. Without doing this, it's practically impossible for you to achieve success. So orchestrating a project is one thing. Building a solid team that is up to the task and can cooperate with one another harmoniously is that thing. Of course, you agree with me that it's not every team that is constituted will be able to come together well and achieve the kind of success they actually want to achieve. So in an organization, the majority of tasks cannot be completed by one person alone. Of course, you'd agree with me that you can't have one person trying to get all the work done. Because why do you have a team if one person has to get it done? In fact, one person trying to get all the work done when it's supposed to be done by a team shows that that team is lacking. There's something, in fact, there are things that are fundamentally wrong with such a team. So inside an organization, the majority of tasks, of course, cannot be completed by one person. A true leader understands the importance of collaboration in the workplace and in many other areas. The benefits of team management in an organization are immeasurable. Every one of us here, in one way or the other, has been able to function as a part of a team. And of course, you agree with me that as a member of a team, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so who can interpret what we are looking at here? And we say, as a member of a team, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Anybody, quickly, just a few seconds. What do you see? What's on this slide? I just need one person to unmute and explain. What do you see here? Bullet point.
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Yekin, over to you.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Yekin. Yes, I can hear you.
From the image or from the picture, what I can say is that there is opportunity and there is threat. There's opportunity in the sense that the picture depicts seeing have something to submit. You can see the person holding the laptop and the guy at the middle. The threat there is that the guy at the middle can actually fall down from this from the top of this terrain, which can lead to the loss of his life. So, but if they work as a team, they can achieve what they actually want to do. So that's what I can summarize from. Hello. Hello.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello, I can hear you.
So
Mr. Yekin, are you there?
These pictures, I'm there, sir. I'm with you,
quickly.
sir. I said from this picture, we can learn that these people are trying to work together as a team to actually achieve a particular goal or task. And if they come together, if they don't allow any division among them, they'll be able to achieve this. We can see one of them holding computer to maybe finish one particular task and submit to management or whatever. And the guy at the middle, there is possibility of falling down from them, and which can lead to the loss of the life. So that's why I said there's opportunity and threats in this particular.
Beautiful. Yes. Even though this is a meme, it's just
It's not like a real stuff, but there's a lesson. There is something we all know, but we need to be reminded about regarding what we are looking at. And that is one of the understand. Sometimes there's a difference between a manager and a leader. Because if you look at these four people, you can see four entities, four humans here. You can see that there are three of them. The three of them are for the key point I want us to note here is the fact that number one, in your teams, ensure everybody is useful, everybody is there for a reason. Would you agree with me that none of these four people can be removed from this picture? None of them can be removed from the picture. Meaning that, as much as possible, always communicates to everybody the importance of their being in the team. I'll still come to all of these principles. So I'm just trying to interpret this image for you to know that there's some hidden lessons in what we are looking at here. If you look at this now, okay, Mr. Gafar is saying putting strength together to achieve a goal. Yes, that's correct. Okay, Mr. Kamaldeen is saying the photo displays the importance of human effort, contribution in achieving a desired goal. And individual doesn't form a team. It involves collective effort of useful people to achieve their goal. Beautiful, beautiful. Another very important aspect of what you are looking at here is the fact that no matter how much you try, when you constitute a team, there would always be instances of some people feeling the load more than some other people. That's another point you need to note. Some people bearing the weight than some other people. Some people having to work harder than some other people. So it is you as the leader that you are expected to pull people around, comfort them, reassure them, and tell them that they are all working towards the same goal. Because if you look at it here now, look at the guy in the middle here, obviously, seems to be the one at, let's say, maybe the most risk, of, maybe falling off or something. Anyway, let's take too much time. The key point here I'm trying to pass across is that when you're setting up teams, if you want them to be high performance teams, you need to pay attention to the individual peculiarities of every team member, their role, and their deliverables on the team. Because you need to take care of the human factor. Because a lot of what is not seen or what is not written down actually affects so much about a team. Somebody might be having some grudges and all of that simply because he feels that he's not being carried along or because he's bearing the brunt of so many things. So you as the leader must be able to read between the lines and comfort people and ensure that they are on track. Let's move on. Okay, so introducing a good team management strategy to your business will immensely help everyone involved to perform better, gain knowledge, and deliver quality results. Being a leader is about bringing your team together to a creative environment in which they can unfold the individual potential. Yes, I just mentioned that. Okay, now, one of the most important, in fact, if you miss every other thing about this webinar today, I want you to pay attention to this story of an actual thing that happened. Interestingly, this information is from Google. Google, of course, you will agree with me that, well, in the world today, very few companies around the world are bigger than Google in terms of impact, in terms of revenue, in terms of every single thing. Now, in terms of technology, you'd agree with me that Google is clearly, I don't know if I'm right to say they are the top. They might not be the topmost top, but at least they are the top when it comes to technology. When it comes to revenue, they are the top and all of that. But the question now is, what do they need to do to maintain their technology advantage? What do they need to do to be able to ensure that they continue to produce things people want, people need, at the speed that will be able to make them relevant in the markets. Fine, for technology, they might be winning. Only guarantee. It's not the only thing that would make you win in the world of today. Technology is just one of them. Okay, let me read from the slide. In the last decade, Google has spent millions of dollars in measuring nearly every aspect of its employees' lives. They want to understand, how do you compile a perfect team? What do you mean by perfect for my technology or guys? When you look at the word compile, you want to see that, is it possible? What exactly makes a set of people come together and they achieve results? And then another set of people come together, they don't achieve results. Okay? Is there a scientific explanation? Is it something you can predetermine? Is it something you can, what's the word? Another word for predetermine here. Is it something you can engineer? Exactly. Can you engineer a perfect team? Or it's just pure chance? It's just by chance? It's just whatever. It's not something that can be predetermined. It's just random. So they've been doing so much, picking so much information, okay, about their staff, about their employees, how they eat, how they relate, how they do these things. Wait, what exactly determines, what exactly makes some group of people come together and then they achieve results? Some other group of people come together, they don't achieve results. Okay? So Google, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, understands that the secret for any company's success is not necessarily the technology. That's very, very important. Just like I keep mentioning that for every one of us, the success that we would achieve is not necessarily dependent on what's the word? On our technical competence. You will be deceiving yourself to think that technical competence is all you need to be able to achieve success in life. You're wrong. Anyway, let's continue this Google scenario. So Google, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, understands that the secret for any company's success is not necessarily the technology, but the teamwork. It's not the technology, but the teamwork. More importantly, in the chemistry around the way they work. We'll come back to that. So Google wants to sustain itself at the top. Of course, you understand that. So one of the key areas they need to work on, apart from technology and some other things, is how people or how teams work together. Okay? Okay, can I get one of us here to read this slide to us? Quickly, anybody, quickly. Any fast person here? Anybody who can read this quickly?
So the tech dance was determined to find out how is it exactly that you can compile. Look at the word compile. One, how can you compile a perfect team? How can you set up a perfect team?
Okay.
How can you build a perfect team? How can you ensure you get the best out of any team? And then in achieving this, one, is it chance? Is it random? Is it predictable? Is it something you can repeat? Is it repetitive? Is it just something that just happens by chance? Is there a science to it? Can be predetermined.
Beautiful. Okay, before I proceed, let's just discuss. Let me just hear comments from one or two people. How do you answer these questions? What's your opinion about these things? Let's just talk. Let me just hear your opinion before I proceed. Any one or two people? Do we have somebody who has been leading teams? What do you think about this? Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Okay, Mr. Oluwasokomi, you want to go again?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, proceed, please.
You look at the strength of your team members in compiling your team. You have naturally you have the strong and the weak ones among your team members. So whatever tasks you hope to achieve, you try to create a synergy between the members that you have in order to achieve the said goal. That's my take.
Okay. Synergy. So if I understand what you are saying, the question now is it chance? Do you get a perfect team by chance? Is it random? Is it predictable? Is it something you can repeat? Is it repetitive? Is there a science to it? Can it be predetermined? So I'm not sure I've heard you answer that question.
Yes, I don't think I've answered the question, but from what we have on the slide, I've been opportune to have teams that I've worked with. Though maybe at the composition stage, I just unpick some people based on what I've known about them, or we were able to achieve some certain goals we gave to ourselves, and I've been able to repeat it again with some other things down the line. So for me, I'll go with the random and being repetitive. That it can be random and you can get it to be repetitive at times.
It can be random. It can be repetitive. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's hear from somebody else. Okay. So who else wants to contribute? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think here? Hello. We've all been managing projects one way or the other.
Let me make a contribution, please.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Michael. I'm with you.
Yeah, all right. Now, speaking of a perfect team, in my experience so far, I believe it doesn't come by chance, and it's never random either. It's a product of due diligence. Now, speaking of if it is predictable, yes, it's highly predictable. When you have a team made up of highly skilled professionals, then it's only one result most of the time. You get good results.
Are you sure?
The other question there is
Are
that
you sure
is
what
it
you just said now?
something
Is it
you
correct?
can repeat? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can repeat it with the same set of people you have. You get success, you can translate that success to success any other time. And yes, it is repetitive. Is it just something that just happened by chance? No, it doesn't happen by chance to get a perfect team. Is there a science to it? Can it be determined? Yes, there's a science to it. And I believe that is the whole essence of converging here. We are trying to understand the theory and the science behind setting up a productive and a perfect team.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay, you know what? I want to take you up on a statement you just made. I don't know if you really how do I put it? You said something now. You said if you assemble the professionals, you would have a perfect team. Is that statement correct? Let me give you an analogy before you answer the question. I don't know if you're a football fan. If you're a football fan, is it the team that has the best of players that always wins? Well, I'm not a football fan. So do we have football fans here who can help us answer that question? Is it the team that has the A-list best players all over the world that always wins all trophies? Is that correct? Do we have exceptions?
Certainly not. Not the team with the best players. It's about motivation and getting their strategy right for the particular game. And of course, the coach and the captain of the team have a great work to do there.
It's about motivation and getting their strategy right. Okay. Okay. Somebody was raising hand. I think it is W.O. Ajagbe. You have the floor now if you still want to speak.
Thank you very much. Actually, you've gone in the direction I was trying to look at. The way you talk about team, we can easily illustrate using that of football. You know, this is a very common word too. Yes, football. And then, well, in my own opinion, to start with, I don't think there's anything like a perfect team, using the word perfect anyway. But of course, a winning team. And so it all depends on the elements, or let me say the players now, to understand their individual ability. And that comes through training. That is working together to know this is the strength of this is the weakness of this. And so when it is time to play, you know which wing or which position to use a particular person or the other to achieve the desired task. But of course, as a team leader or as a coach, you can make some active and some redundant depending on the particular goal that is before the team to achieve. And so, like you rightly mentioned, it is not in all cases when you have best, players, individual players coming together. They need to work together. And that is why we can use a case study of a Nigerian team over time, Super Eagles, where you have a couple of fantastic individual players, but we always observe that because they've not been playing together, understanding themselves, they come, play, and then you won't get results. So understanding really matters. Working together means that there has to be that real understanding of who you are working with. And to achieve that, you have to work together, relate together, understand their strength, understand their weaknesses. And so when it is time to work, then the issue of motivation now comes in. The motivation now comes into
the issue of motivation now comes in,
now comes in to drive them towards achieving the desired goal. That's my little comment, sir.
Thank you very, very much. Beautiful. We have actually all spoken well. Now, let me read from Madam Aisha Zakaria. She also sends in something. She says that, yes, all the things listed should be put into consideration in order to achieve the deliverables and also to achieve that. I think it is random. And also a science. They are saying to this now, to it, which can be predetermined. Then Mr. Lasukomi is saying there can't be a perfect team, because human factor definitely come to play. Yes, I agree with all of this. You see, the question that we all need to understand very well is that a lot of us, as much as we can argue it out whether you can have a perfect team or not, it depends on how we define the word perfect. But one thing we all need to understand is the fact that some of us have had the opportunity to work on teams wherein failure could be very disastrous. Some of us have had the opportunity to work on some teams wherein you really might not have opportunity of a second chance. You fail, maybe a life to go for it. So that's the reason why a lot of big organizations, they don't spare any effort in being able to understand what exactly do we need to do. Who are the kind of people we need to bring together? What exactly do we need to look out for in these people? Yes, Mr. A is an expert, Mr. B is an expert. But if we bring Mr. A and Mr. B together, will they achieve optimal results? So there's a lot of science and art to all of these things. We wouldn't go too deeply into this because there are so many areas when it comes to issues of all of these things. But let's just stay on the on the top, just peripheral stuff, just for the purpose of this webinar. Of course, maybe some of us might be inspired to even learn even more and keep working. I have tons of books on high performance teams. I've read so much of research here and there about what needs to be done. What I can tell you here. Okay, anyway, let's proceed. Do let me speak from my own words. Okay, so the company's executives worked very hard on the research in finding how do you actually get a perfect mix of individuals necessary to form a stellar team. And like most people's opinion, they believe that building good teams means combining the best people. They believe that building good teams means bringing the experts together. They believe that bringing, getting good teams, perfect teams, is all about bringing the best of people together. Interestingly, they are wrong. It's not that simple. There's so much involved. There's so much involved in getting this thing done. And just like the analogy I mentioned earlier, the team that has the best of individual star players do not necessarily win all the trophies. I don't know. I'm not a football fan, but which team are we describing now? Is it Arsenal that has the star players now? In the olden days, when I used to have some element of soft spot for football, it used to be Real Madrid. Oh yeah, anybody, which one is the team now? Is it Barca? I know it should be either Barca or which other one, you know? Barca no ni. Is there any other one that has like star-studded team? Yeah, I don't know now. I'm not in tune with that. Okay. A comment just came in from Mr. Gafar Akiosho. He's saying, it can be science and predetermined depending on how diligently the team is constituted. Understanding how individual is going to bring in terms of skills and personality. Okay. Thank you. So now here's the report from Google. Google is saying that we looked at 180 teams from all over the country. We had lots of data, but there was nothing showing that a mix of specific personality types or skills or backgrounds made any difference. Notes. According to Abe Dube, a manager in Google, he's saying that the who part of the equation did not really seem to matter. Meaning that maybe the background or the personality type and that things like that. Fine, yes, they might have some things to do, but it wasn't the key. It wasn't the stuff that really made things happen. So Google's intense data collection led to an interesting conclusion that in the best of teams, members show sensitivity, and most importantly, they listen to one another. And this is regarded as a key principle in team management. Okay. What do you say about this? Do you believe this? Because when I read this report the first time, I was forced to go and read even more research because I kind of didn't want to believe it. Is it that simple? Is it that simple? Just to get people to be sensitive to one another, to get them to listen to one another, to get them to have empathy about one another. Is that all? Is that what is required to be able to be a good team? Is that correct? What do you think? Anybody, one or two people, quickly. Do you believe, do you agree to this principle? Okay. Seems like. Anyway. So, well, if you look at it very well, you realize that if you look at the history of mankind, a lot of times, it's unfortunate that I can't really think of too many examples off my head now. A lot of times, small people, small teams, maybe, in fact, they qualify to be called underdogs who have maybe less firepower when we terms of battle, or less skill like that in the direction of maybe a competition. You find that if they are able to achieve perfect internal chemistry, well, not perfect per se, maybe I use the word good. If they are able to achieve good internal chemistry, they would go a long way. In fact, they would defeat the big giants. And that's why if you look at so many stories of the past, so many wars, you find a lot of small teams defeating huge teams. Why? One of what can make a small team be as though you are a very huge one is if you can work on the internal chemistry of the team. Show sensitivity. Listen to one another. Show empathy. Everyone has everyone's back. They are committed. They are motivated. They want to work. They might not have all the big skills. They might not have all the big names. They might not have all the big brands. They might not have all the big money. They might not have all the big backing. But they would be able to do big things if they are able to work on their internal chemistry. I recently read about the wars of Alexander Great. And in fact, if you go into the Arab world, if you go into some of Arab history of how they fought wars and all of that, you realize that when you have a very, very strong bond between people, they can achieve something that's maybe like a 10x, like a times 10, the kind of the power that they ordinarily should have. They'll be able to vibrate at that level. They'll be able to perform at that level. So small team against huge teams sounds impossible, but it works. It works. There's so many stories in the history of mankind in which it has been able to occur very well. So for me, as much as it sounds a bit unbelievable, it seems like history also supports this statement that in the best of teams, members show empathy, show sensitivity, listen to one another, has everyone's back. They are able, they are competent, they are motivated, they want to achieve, they are passionate, they want to get results. This is the secret to big teams. Okay, Mr. Kazim Ayla here. Okay, let me start with Madam Aisha. She's saying, yes, you know when there is good communication and respecting each other's views, definitely they'll be the best team, okay? Mr. Lasukomi is saying, okay, I don't agree, okay, because of human factor. Well, I don't know what you're not agreeing to anyway. Mr. Kazim Ayla is saying, if you're not sensitive to your team members' needs or concerns, the team's productivity may be hampered. Effective communication is the crux of mutual understanding. All right, so let's move on. There's a quote here saying, this from Babe Ruth or Babe Ruth. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's saying that the way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime. Let me take this again. The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime. Okay. All right, so we just finished that section. Let's move to another section of today's webinar. We are 1 hour into it already. We have barely 30 minutes left. Okay, so understanding the team development process. Please, are we following? I don't know. We are quite silent today. Maybe because we don't have too many people here. This is a very silent day. People are not talking. Please, do you mind dropping a message in the chat? I need like, we are 22 here. I need like 10 of us. I just want to know, I'm following. I just want to see, okay, who is following? Okay, Madam Aisha is following. Okay, you are the only one, right? Who else is following? Okay, Mr. Kabir is following, making 2. Who else is following? Who else is following? Okay, Mr. Nuruddin is following. Mr. Aziz is following. Okay, who else is following? Okay, only 4 people are following, right? Okay, Mr. Yakin making 5. Who else is following? Mr. Gafar making 6. Okay, Mr. Kazim, Mr. Jeremiah 7. Okay, is it 7 or 8? Mr. Mustafa. Okay, that's 9. One more person. Who else is following? Mr. Michael, why now? You're not following, right? Mr. Nuruddin, you answered the question earlier. It's like you have gone to sleep, right? Okay. Oga Jagbe, what happened? Have we lost you to network news? Okay. Mr. Akinkunle Akinode, how do you do, sir? Yeah, it's good to have you today. All right, let's move on. Okay, can I have one person who can summarize all what you have done so far? I want to be sure that I'm communicating. One person, quickly, anybody, just one person, just say one sentence that you think summarizes what you have been talking about in the past 1 hour. 1 hour is a lot of time. I believe you must have heard something. Hello? Okay. Somebody should talk now. Okay. So nobody can summarize for me. It probably means we are not listening or we are not following.
Can we call it team engineering?
Team engineering. That's big grammar. Can you say it in simple English? Mr. Akikule, we are with you.
I just did a summary.
And yes, I said you should say it in simple English now. You know, not everybody can operate at the NASA level that you are trying to.
Team building. Team building.
Okay. Anyway, thank you very much.
Or getting your team to work.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Akikunle. So let's proceed with understanding the team development process. Because we have said so much about teams. We have said so much about the importance, the consequence of this thing not being done well. So let's just say 1 or 2 stops about understanding how these things can be done. We wouldn't be able to say so much. Just, boom, a little pint from the ocean of team development. Okay, so team building managers are managers that get results. Yes, I believe that we understand that very, very well. A team's job is hard. A manager's job is hard intrinsically. Of course, you agree with me that if you are a manager, you are already contending with so much. You are primarily, in fact, you are as good as you are responsible for the success of the team. You're responsible for the success of everybody, of the project and all of that. So intrinsically, your work is hard. Intrinsically, you are already under pressure. Intrinsically, you are already, you're already stressed out. But on that, you now still need to drive success. So if you can learn how to become a team building manager and how to create and manage teams that can work together under a unified vision, trust me, you are rare. You're one of the very rare managers who can combine leadership with management. Sometimes you need to separate the two of them, even though they're a bit similar, but there's a thin, is it really thin? Is it a thin line? Well, some people say it's a thin line. Some people say it's not a thin line, but there's actually a difference between leadership and management. A manager is very bureaucratic. He wants to follow principles, wants to deal much in a lot of hard stuffs. But a leader is really more to the soft side of the old stuff. So being a leader, being able to get people to move in a particular direction, being able to orchestrate the chemistry around people, being able to make them walk in the direction of success and get them to talk to one another, to be able to have everyone, the back of one another. That is a rare skill. Not many people have these things. We have more managers than leaders. So you need to be able to hard management, hard leadership to your management skill. So if you can do this, trust me, you would shine. Because a lot of people don't have these things. So if you are able to have it, you'll be able to shine. Trust me, you'll shine. If you look at, anyway, because of time, let me go into another story. So you would shine, you're able to climb your path to success and career in a rapid time. So there are many models for all these things. There are many models for all these things. We'll be discussing one model in class, just one. There are many models, like I told you. And what we are doing today is the beginning of a long journey. I want to assume that all of us here will take what we learned today and improve on them. Management, human factor, human resources, these are huge, huge areas. In fact, they are careers on their own. That's why you have some specialists who actually do all of these things. But as a project manager, you need to have these skills because you are in charge of people. You are in charge of resources. And you don't have that luxury of delegating, managing your team to somebody else. You are in charge of your team. You drive success. You drive results. So we'll be discussing just one model with the assumption that all of us here would continue to learn more and more models, more and more team development models, more and more team building strategies, more and more team building methodologies. So luckily, Bruce Stockman, that's just one of them. We'll be discussing Bruce Stockman's principle today. So Bruce Stockman and a number of other world-renowned professionals have done so much for us to learn from. So just as human development is not linear, of course you agree that human development is not linear. Team development is not always a linear process. So having a way to identify and understand causes for changes in team behavior can help the team maximize its process and productivity. Let me take that again, because the whole of Bruce Stockman's model is dependent or is out to teach you to be able to look out for differences in how you manage a team across the life cycle of a team's performance. So just as human development is not always linear, team development is not always a linear process. Having a way to identify and understand causes for changes in the team behavior, identify and understand changes in team behavior. Behavior of a team will change across the life cycle of the team's performance. So if you want to be a good leader, you must be able to identify the changes in behavior. You must be able to understand the changes in behavior. Doing this would help you maximize your team productivity. Okay? I've been doing a lot of talking. Oh yeah, I want somebody to read this slide for me. Okay. Anybody, can you read this slide for me to us or? Oh my God. I understand. People are tired from the day's work. They want me to do all the talking, but unfortunately, it's not my style.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Please proceed.
For teams to be effective, the people in the team must be able to work together to contribute collectively to team outcomes. But this does not happen automatically. It develops as the team works together. You have probably had an experience when you have been put on a team, maybe on an office project, an assignment, and you have to deliver on something. In most cases, when a team comes together at first, you just sit around, looking at one another, not really knowing clearly how to begin. So initially, you aren't more of a team, you are more of individuals assigned to work together.
Work together. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, essentially, what this is telling us is that for teams to be effective, people must come together. When people come together at different points, they exhibit different characteristics. And that is exactly what Bruce Stockman wants to talk about. Over time, you know, initially when you bring people together, there's still some element of coldness. Then over time, you get to know one another. You get to know what to expect from one another. You get to know how to work on the project, how to work on the deliverables. You get to know how to assign more responsibilities and all of that. You get to know how you coordinate the work. So through this process, you begin to work as a team instead of collection of individuals. Of course, you agree with me that when we say teamwork, teamwork is not just about saying you are bringing individuals together. Wrong. It's not just about saying bringing individuals together to come and work as one-man champion. Okay, progressive elaboration. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So the whole idea of saying you have a team is not about individual champions coming to come and do their thing. No, you want to succeed as a team. Okay. Now, through the process, you begin to work as a team instead of a collection of individuals. Now, between point A, where you start, to point B, where you eventually complete the project successfully, you would have gone through a journey of several stages. So let's discuss the journey briefly. So, stages of team development according to Bruce Stockman. So we have 5. In 1965, a psychologist named Bruce Stockman said that teams go through 5 stages of development. Forming, norming, performing, adjourning. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. I've said it 3 times. Let me say it 2 more times, and I'll ask any one of us who can say it off-ed. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Okay, all right. Anybody who can say it? Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Anybody? Oh yeah, now are we not listening?
Hello.
Hello. Oh yeah, who was listening? Yeah, 5.
Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning.
Beautiful. Another person.
Forming, storming, numbing, adjourning.
Again? Oh yeah, now yeah, on track.
Forming, norming, performing, and adjourning.
Beautiful. One more person.
Hello.
All right, hello.
Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning.
Beautiful. Thank you very, very much. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Beautiful. So let's oh god, out of time. Let's just discuss these things one after the other. You see, these stages from the time a group first meets, these are the stages, according to Bruce Stockman, that a team will have to go through from the time they first meet to when the project ends. So Bruce Stockman is not a rapper. He's not like he's trying to rap. He's trying to make these things rhyme. No. You know. So each one is aptly named and plays a vital part in building of high functioning teams. So let's give ourselves a quick overview of those 5 stages. So we'll discuss what we need to know about each of those stages and why is it important for us to track what stage a team is in. Why do we need to know what stage a team is in? All right. Okay, so Bruce Stockman outlined the 5 stages of team development. There could be cases in which one or more of these stages might not pertain to you in your current team, but generally, you see, when we discuss these principles are quite generic. We are not saying that these principles would apply in every single circumstance, but these are generic principles that you can now adapt to whatever you are doing. You can adopt. These are generic principles that loosely apply to all circumstances, but maybe not particularly exactly all the time. So, but generally, most teams pass through these 5 stages. It's also important to note that sometimes things can get stuck halfway. Yes. It's not all teams that form would eventually adjourn. Sometimes you can form, crash, form, storm, destroy, form, storm, norm, destroy, form, storm, norm, perform, crash. In fact, in some cases, form, crash. Abi, is it not possible? Can't a team crash after forming? Please. It happens. Okay. So the fact that you start from forming doesn't mean you will get to the end adjourning. Things will get disrupted in between in the duration of actually working on a project. So let's start with the first one, forming. Oops, if I read, I will be over explaining. So can somebody please read to me? 9:45, we have 15 minutes more, so I don't want to read. Oh yeah, somebody should please read this.
Okay, the first of the 5 stages is called forming. From the word form, essentially you enter the stage because the team.
Proceed, please.
Because the team is new, it's still being organized, it has just created and just been brought together. You are still battling with some basic issues of what kind of people are these, what are our tasks. It is the formative period for the project. Team members might not even have the full picture of objectives of the entire team or what is expected of them. This is why many team members feel insecure at this point. So in order to create a good team, it is important that a team leader tries to build trust among the team members and also create clarity on objectives and expectations.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I'm so tempted to want to explain because there's so much of secret knowledge in the few paragraphs that Madam Aisha has just read out. Unfortunately, let me apologize that I probably didn't manage time too well. We have 14 minutes left and there's so much you are supposed to emphasize. I'm supposed to re-emphasize and re-echo many areas of this thing. All right, let's move on. Okay, another person, storming. Quickly, another person. Oh, yeah, somebody else.
Hello.
All right, Mr. Kazim.
The team is said to be storming when the team is gradually becoming closer knit together.
Okay.
The team members are gaining one another's trust. They start to voice their opinions and exhibit their innate behavioral traits. As a result of this, conflict may arise. The individual personalities of the team members emerge when they confront one another with ideas and perspective. Okay, that should be a typo error. Still, some of them will hesitate to voice their opinion for fear of being excluded from the team. So all of this is just like a storm. No balance yet. Some are silent, some are shouting. Some understand, some don't. And some are aggressive, while others are not, etc. At this stage, everyone is trying to form their own territory, cabal, or cliques.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kazim. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, let's just move on, Sha. I wish I had enough time to tell you. There's so many stories of past experience that I and maybe some other people want to share about these things. These are huge areas. Huge areas. All right, another person. Let's take on Nomin. Nomin, somebody. Make a call name.
At this point, the team starts.
Okay, Mr. Jagwe, please
Proceed,
let
please.
Mr. Kabir take it. You take the next one. Oh, yeah, quickly, please.
At this point, the team starts working in a fulfilling manner as criticism is no longer taken personally anymore. It is considered to be constructive and task-oriented. Team members are open to one another's ideas, cooperate on established rules. One of the ways to overcome storming is actually by setting up rules. They are called ground rules. The rules.
Proceed, please.
The rules will be communicated such that everybody will understand and be ready to cooperate with established rules, standards, and methods. This increases the efficiency of the team, and then the team starts developing their identity. The storm has come, and you have successfully overcome the storming process. And after then, it's normal. A delicate equilibrium is established, and the team is now on its feet, and then you can now perform.
Beautiful. And that takes us to form, storm, norm, perform. Okay. Mr. I think it was Ajagwe that wanted to speak before.
Okay.
If you're around, please proceed.
During performing stage, the team functions as a unit. The energy of the team as a group will be plowed into various tasks as part of achieving the goals for which the team was actually set up in the first place. At this point, team members know what is expected of them and they work together towards the objectives. The atmosphere of the team is good and there is cooperation amongst members. The team functions excellently and is capable of making discussions independently. There is no conflict about cooperating to achieve the project objectives.
There is no conflict about cooperating to achieve project objectives. Interesting. Okay. So, what's the last one? Storm, form, norm, perform. What's the last one?
Adjourning.
Adjourning, correct. All right, let's get one person to read adjourn. Quickly, please. Oh yeah, person will never talk. Oh yeah, quickly.
So the final stage is called adjourning.
Madam, you have a PhD already. Let somebody else get a PhD. Hey, thank you, Anaisha. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll take that.
All right.
The final stage is called adjourning. This is the stage where the task of the team has been completed and the team is disbanded. At this point, the team is gone. The projects deliverables have been achieved. The team's desirables and tasks have been completed. And that's the end.
Beautiful. Now, let me throw it back at all of you now. What do you sense? What comes to your mind At least we've gone round now. Form, storm, norm, perform, adjourn. We've gone round. We have read the descriptions. What comes to your mind? What do you pick out of here? There are some hidden gems in all these things you are reading. Which of them is at you? Beautiful. Let's just hear one or two people. Quickly, we have 8 more minutes. What do you see? What do you see? What can you take out of Bruce Stockman's 5-stage model for team development? Oh yeah. Abi, I'm asking too many questions, Abi. Sorry. Don't worry, we'll soon finish. Oh yeah, now. Abi, you want me to say all the answers? We have many people who have not said anything, no. Madam Raina Tabimbola, we don't see you. Mr. Nurudin Oladimeji, you are usually vocal. I don't know what's happening today. It's like we have lost you to network news.
We're going through the process.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah. I said going through the principle. Yeah, going through the principle. My understanding of it is that at inception of putting together a team, the members come with their individual skills or known to the team as a whole. Now, the process of coming together, now there's this interchange of knowledge and all that, trying to understand, and that is the storming stage.
Okay.
At a point in time, after working for some time together, they try to understand one another, know their abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. And at that stage, that's what is said to be the norming stage, when they are really prepared to start performing based on the synergy they've established between themselves. And of course, thereafter, they can adjourn at being the end of the process.
Yes. Thank you very much. You have spoken well. But I've asked for something. I've asked for something inside. Okay, let me go back to this slide. Where is this slide? Or this? Now, look at these 2 questions. Can you see the 2 questions at the end of this slide? Who can see those 2 questions? And who can answer them? What are the 2 questions? Who can read these 2 questions to us? Hello. What are the 2 questions?
Yes. Why we need to know what the 5 stages are, and why it is important for us to track what stage a team is in. Those are the 2 questions.
Very profound. Very profound. We need to know the answers to those 2 questions. If not, all you will take out of this meeting is just form, storm, norm, perform, adjourn. Form, storm, norm, perform, adjourn. Maybe you might be able to read it yourself, but it's just like something. It's just like a sword that is hung on the roof or on the wall. It's not useful there. Sword is useful in the battlefield. So now, what can you take out? And the secret to this is in answering those 2 questions. Number 1, why do we need to know do we need to know these 5 stages? Number 2, why do we need to know what stage a team is in at a point in time? The answer to those 2 questions are extremely important. Anybody, quickly, please. Hello.
Yes, I think to me, why we need to know what the 5 stages are is for us to be able to understand the dynamics of team work in its whole essence. The dynamics, let me just make it more simpler. The dynamics in the sense that, okay, how do you bring people together, and how best can you make use of people to achieve a purpose? Now, the answer to the second question from my own perspective is why is it important for us to track what stage a team is in? Perhaps you may not be joining a team at the beginning, and perhaps you may even start the team. You may even be the initiator of the team. But why it is important for you to note the stage we are in any team is for you to be able to focus on the goal of that team.
So focus on
the goal of the team. That is my own perspective. If you don't understand the stage at which a team you belong to is at the present moment, then you won't be able to understand what goal. You won't be able to achieve the goal of that team. That's my own perspective. Thank you.
Wonder. Oh yeah, now my people. Okay, we are tired. Can we just end it?
The last speaker just made a vital point, and I quite align with him.
Okay. But they are still missing aspects of what we are discussing. There are still some aspects that are kind of missing. There are still some aspects that are kind of missing. Mr. Aziz Bello is saying there's a need for a manager for the success of the team. Okay, we need to know the stage the team is in, to know the best action to take, and what to tackle. That's another interesting point. Okay. One more. Let's just hear from one more person before we call it a day. Okay. Seems you all want me to talk. All right. Now, let me give you my own perspective. My perspective to this stuff in answering this question is, number one, why do we need to know the 5 stages? We need to know the 5 stages simply because, you see, in life, a lot of wars can be won when you become self-aware. Let me take that again. A lot of wars can be won when you become self-aware. Now, in this case now, a lot of things can be done better when your team is able to understand themselves. They know what they are doing. They know why they are there. They know what they are looking for, and they know how to get there. If you understand what you are doing as a team, you know just like saying you have a tournament that you don't know the rules. How do you measure? How do you quantify? How do you track what you are doing? Each stage of a project or of a team has different peculiarities. That is where I'm going. Each stage has their peculiarities. I'm surprised that we did not notice. Did anybody notice the peculiarities of each stage? And the answer to the first question leads you to answering the second question. Because if you know the peculiarities, that goes to the second question. You will know how best to manage them at that stage. Let me go back to those slides one by one. When you are forming, what are the peculiarities when you are forming? What are the characteristics? Coldness. Number one, they are cold. Number two, ambiguity. They are really not grounded in understanding so much of what is going on. What else have I left out? What else is there? What's another characteristic of forming? I've talked about coldness. I've talked about ambiguity of deliverables and all of that. Okay, I also see some form of insecurity. Yeah, yes, you understand? So what this means is that if you are leading a team that is in the forming stage, there are many things that could be done, but focus on delivering clarity. You get my point? Focus on clarity. Focus on reassuring them and giving them security. Focus on making them to talk to one another, making them to bond. Focus on that. There are many things you can do, but at this stage, these are the most important things you want to focus on. Okay, oh yeah, quick exercise. Look at storming. What are the characteristics? Quickly. Characteristics. What jumps at us at this point? Oh yeah, now. Hello, we are tired.
Territorial formations, formation of cabals and cliques.
Cabals.
I think it's individual strength.
Individual what?
Strength.
Individual strength. Okay. So now we have identified some characteristics here. The characteristic of everybody trying to form, you don't know me, or me and this guy, we are together. You see the rest, we are enemy. This one is my friend. You understand? So what this means is at this stage, you want to consolidate on what you started when you were forming, of trying to tell people to calm down, trying to tell people to relate with one another, trying to tell them to, lower their weapons and listen. Lower their weapons and, relate with others. Don't form cliques. Listen. Absorb as much information as possible. And then, of course, you're also trying to push in the ambiguity of the deliverables that you're trying to fight earlier. Now you want to push even more in to tell them, look, this is what you want to get done. This is how I want to get it done. You need to listen. You need to get this thing done. It's a team. This is the role you are playing. This is the role you are playing. This is the role you are playing. Don't forget that when you are forming, roles and responsibilities might not be fully formed at that time. Now that you are storming, you are trying to assign roles and responsibilities. Because if those things are not done, you cannot move into norming. Because it is when you norm that you can now move into performing. So at this point in time, you are trying to quell crisis. And this is the worst time to be aggressive. Do you agree with me? At this stage is the worst time to be aggressive. And I mentioned, oh my God, there's no time. I mentioned something in the last webinar. I said there are different management styles, there are different leadership styles, autocratic, blah, blah, blah. So many of them. Situational leadership, and many more. There is no one of them that you can say is the only one you must use all the time. There are different circumstances that will determine the kind of leadership style you want to use. So the stage of the team also determines the kind of leadership style that you want to follow, the kind of leadership style that you want to push. So at this stage of storming, you want to be gentle. It's not a time you start shouting around. It's a time of begging people, telling them to shield their swords, trying to reassure them, trying to explain and re-explain, trying to bring people together by force, trying to make them see reasons why they need to talk to one another, trying to see reasons why they should break down the artificial cliques and come together, not as Omo Yoruba, Omo Hausa, Omo Igbo, Omo this, as a team. Because it is when you come together as a team that you can norm and perform. If you are still as scattered cliques, you are not unified. You cannot work in a unified manner towards a vision. So now you understand. I don't know if at this point I've answered these two questions earlier. Number one, why do we need to know the stage we are in? Why do we even need to know the stages? And then when you know the stages, why do you now need to track the stage you are in? I think the answer should be very obvious now. But let's go through all these stages first before I come back to that question. Now we are talking of norming. What are the characteristics that jump at us? Quickly, anybody? What are the characteristics you see here? Number one. Oh yeah. Characteristics.
Ground rules are established.
Corporations.
You said what? I didn't hear that.
Corporation.
Okay. Ground rules, corporation.
Increase
what else?
Efficiency.
You said what?
Increase efficiency. Increase in efficiency.
Increase
in efficiency.
Okay?
Openness
Yes,
to
yes, I took that.
one another's ideas.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so if we stop at that now, you see that we now have an idea of some of the characteristics of when you are numbing. We have mentioned quite a number of them. You have talked about, okay, now you have stormed. Okay, at this point now, it's assumed storm is over. People have agreed to work together. Now that they have agreed, oh yeah, let's see, Constitution. This is how we work. For us to be able to achieve, we need to have some rules. This is resumption. This is closing. This is this. This is that. This is how we use resources. This is how we prioritize. This is how we take decisions. This is how we, if you do this, will be done. This will happen to you. If you do this, this will happen to you. This equipment, this is how it must be used. You don't use this. You know, you put your rules down. This is when you do them, when you are numbing. It might be a bit too early when you are storming. Do you agree with me? There's a bit too early when you are storming. Storming is not the time for you to start stamping your feet and start pushing things around. Well, of course, depending on the circumstance, you might have to also do these things at that point in time. Please know that these rules are not cast on stone. This is not like it must always be like this, but generically, this is how it flows. So when you are here now, it's assumed that people have passed the storming stage to some extent, and they are ready to start working together. So you support that cooperation by putting rules. Because cooperation means, okay, I want to listen to you. How do I work? Then you give them the rules. Then at this point in time, you know, constructive, task-oriented, meaning that at this point in time, there should be clarity on what to do. It is the clarity on what to do that will take you to performing. Performing now means that, oh yeah, the what to do that you clarified earlier, just start doing them. You get my point? So at this point in time, you are trying to clearly explain and re-explain what you have been trying to explain all the while about. You know, it's task-oriented. This is what you will do. This is what you are supposed to do. You are a very important member of the team. This is your responsibility. You are expected to get this done. Okay, this is what you will do. This is what you will do. You are trying to get all these things clear. Team members are open to one another's ideas. They cooperate on established rules. Okay, so when you are done with this, then you perform. So what are the characteristics we see for performing? Quickly, characteristics. What do we see here? Okay. Anyway, you did not see anything. So what we see here, essentially, they're performing. They're trying to get things done. Initially, they were trying to be able to get it done. Now they're actually getting it done. That's what performing. So what management skill, what leadership skill do you need to have at this point? Coordinating, supervisory. In fact, at this point in time, depending on the kind of project you're working on, at this level, you're supposed to withdraw a bit. You're supposed to withdraw a bit. Why? If all those previous stages have been done in a good way, at this level, there should already be some level of sustenance in the team structure. So you are supposed to withdraw and give an over-the-top supervision, depending on how well how mature all the form storm norm have been able to get done. So would you be able to withdraw when you are storming? It's not possible. Will you be able to withdraw when you are numbing? It's not possible. So finally, you have adjourn. So going back to the original question, I want to believe that by now we should be able to answer. Okay, can anybody quickly answer these two questions? I think by now it should be very obvious. Quickly, anybody, we're out of time. Can you answer these two questions? Why do we need to know the 5 stages? Why is it important for us to track the stage in which we are in? Quickly, anybody, these 2 questions, quickly. Oyeleke Olani, we have not heard from you today. Oh yeah, talk now.
Okay, I was going to say we need to know the 5 stages so that we'll be able to understand how to respond to the team at every stage. And it's important for us to track what stage a team is in, just again, so that we can be able to respond in the appropriate way, so as not to waste time and become efficient.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very succinct overview. Okay.
And just to add, sir.
Okay. Quickly.
And it's good to know the 5 stages and to track the particular stage in which the team is in, so as to employ the right approaches towards driving the team in achieving the desired goals.
The right approaches commensurate, contextually relevant to that stage. Yeah. Proceed, please.
Towards driving the team towards achieving the desired goal.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. So understanding the stages of team development, let's just read through this because of time. Yeah, why does a team leader need to understand the stages of team development? The answer to this question is a major factor in defining who would become a top-notch leader and a mediocre team leader. The answer is quite simple. Let's consider the scenario of our lives as we all grow up from birth. We have passed through a lot of changes. From pre-nursery to nursery to primary school to junior secondary school to secondary to undergraduate to master's to PhD, blah, blah, blah. We have like 8 different stages. Imagine you're a parent and you have 2 children, one in secondary and one in secondary and one in pre-nursery. Would you consider the uniqueness of these stages? Would you deal with them in the same way? Would you handle them the same way? Would you hold them up to the same standards? Think of it in this line. That's the same reason why it is important for you as a leader to understand your team and where they are in the stage of development. Each stage of development has its own unique characteristics and hence requires a unique way of handling your team members. So at each stage of development, of the development process, you have different psychological mindsets of your team members, different levels of understanding the project itself, and a lot of ramifications. So as a team leader, you have to understand what the characteristics at each stage of the process are. For example, at pre-nursery, if a baby defecates on his or her body, you wouldn't scream. Then you would, but you will not handle it this way for a larger, for an older sibling. So as a team leader, your aim is to help your team to perform well, not just well, to perform well as quickly as possible. So doing the right things at the right time. As a team lead, you need to identify the stage of development that your team is based on some of the descriptions mentioned previously. You need to understand the corresponding characteristics of that stage. So this is just like a quick summary of the whole thing of what is expected of you as the leader at the different stages. We've mentioned all of these things again, so because of time, we wouldn't go through them again. But trust me, that's one thing about research. No matter how good whatever you say, there will be critics. I've been expecting some people to ask questions about these things now. But how far this thing? I don't know. People should already start having reservation about this thing we are discussing. Is it really true? Can it work? Does it work all the time? What are the exceptions? What are the criticisms? So here is the criticism of the Tuckman model. Okay. Here is the criticism of the Tuckman model. So more recent studies have updated or criticized the Tuckman stages. You know, so as Tuckman stages of group development particularly apply to relatively small groups, it is not entirely clear how group dynamics would evolve in larger groups. That's one criticism. And there are numerous circumstances when the identified stages do not evolve as linear as Tuckman described. Yes, this is a very valid point. I agree to this point. It's too simplistic to assume that a team will always follow form. After form, you storm. After storm, you norm. After norm, perform. After perform, adjourn. Is it always like this? It's not always like that in the real world, you know. You know, this, in fact, it might be form, storm, norm, storm, norm, storm, norm, storm, norm, storm, perform, back to storm, then norm, perform, storm again, perform, norm, storm again. Then if you are lucky, then you norm and then you perform and then you adjourn. So there's a lot of, there could be some potential cyclical stuff in the middle of all of these things. That's another criticism of the Tuckman model. And that does not throw away the Tuckman model. Please note, what it only explains to you is that it's making your work as a leader more difficult at every point in time. Oh my God. At every point in time, you're expected to now know, okay, even though this is not linear, what is the most prevalent characteristic that we have at this point in time? Anyway, let me leave that. So sometimes it is unclear regarding the Tuckman stage of development, of group development. A team might be at a point. Sometimes it might not be too clear. Okay, what are we doing now? Are we performing, or we are norming, or we are storming? How do we define where we are? That's another criticism that we have for Bruce Tuckman. So Bruce Tuckman also did not provide any advice on the time frame that is required for each stage. Okay, so please find time to go through the reference materials and other sources. Like I said at the beginning, this is just a tip of the iceberg on tons and tons of possible stuff that could be done as a member of a team. So at that point, I've come to the end of my presentation. I just have a small announcement. But before I take my announcement, can I just have, I don't know, I've not taken questions so far. Quick question before I take my announcement. Any quick question? Any quick question? Okay. Oh girl. Anyway. All right. So since we have no question, yeah, let's call it a day at this point. So thank you very much for coming. I hope to hear from you anytime from now. I will be sending you the bonus as promised. Yes. People asking, can we get the slides? Can we get this? Yes, you would get it. Yes. And you are getting it for free. Yes. They're not charging you. Yes, you get it for free. You get this, you get all the material, you get the material in PDF. You also get the video. So you get that tonight, tomorrow morning, depending on how well we're able to get things done. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.